it's amazing, man, how I put out the podcast on Friday, and the top story was the top story. John Cena, WrestleMania, number 17, match against Lesnar at WrestleMania in the main event. John Cena wants something substantial for WrestleMania, being that he's always considered himself a WWE superstar, will always consider himself that first and foremost, and he lives in the Tampa Bay area, where WrestleMania 36 is going to be. But it's amazing how I put out that opinion piece, and a lot of people go into the comment sections and reiterate how they're not watching the product, how John Cena is awful, how John Cena is the ruination of pro wrestling. Oh, yes, because John Cena being back is as worse as what we've been given on Monday Night Raw. Are you kidding me? Are you really that mental? Folks, it's not that big of a deal. If John Cena comes back, John Cena comes back. Who would you rather Brock Lesnar go up against? I gave you everybody that I would love to see him go up against, and I'm sure you guys agree with me on those names. Riddle, Keith Lee, right? We all know WWE's not going to do that. They want somebody big. They want somebody that they can trust. This is WrestleMania. This is Vince's show. Vince is going to do what he wants. If it's not Roman, it's always going to go back to their tried and true John Cena. I could see it happening. And like I mentioned on Friday, if it happens, yeah, it's part-time season. All these part-timers, these Hall of Famers come out of their caves and want that big WrestleMania payday, taking opportunity away from everybody. But if it's John Cena, there's something about John Cena that I've grown to appreciate over the years. And I do think the chase for 17 and the promo work between him and Heyman and Lesnar being involved, I do think it could make for very entertaining TV. And that is not something we're getting on Monday Night Raw right now. So who are you to complain about, oh, it's the ruination of wrestling? Monday Night Raw is the ruination of wrestling. Vince McMahon is the ruination of wrestling, not John Cena. John Cena's been gone long enough to put that bad taste, whatever taste is still being left over in your mouths. Come on. There's a lot worse than John Cena. I just threw it out there as an opinion, and I could see Vince doing it. It's not the end of the world, people. It's not the end of the world. There will be much worse on WrestleMania's card besides John Cena, or a potential John Cena versus Brock Lesnar match for the WWE Championship. Don't worry about it. What I do want you to worry about is this podcast, Off the Script, episode 308, part number 2. It is January 11th, 2020. Tomorrow we have the NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool number 2 show. I will be watching. I will not be reviewing, so please do not ask me if I'm going to do a review on the show or Wrestle Kingdom 14. I'm not. I will just be watching NXT TakeOver UK on my Sunday afternoon with a cold beverage, and I'll be live tweeting with you guys. But that is this weekend. We also got Impact, which I might actually tune into, because I'm very curious to see if Impact actually goes all the way with Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan. That's on Sunday night. I love their first match, so I do think that they're going to go out there and steal the show and just do better than they did in their first effort. So I would be very interested in that, so I might tune in to see what Tessa does and if she wins the Impact World Championship. But other than that, man, it's been a very busy weekend here. I thank you guys for joining me here on Off the Script. Like I said, it's episode 308. This is part number 2, January 11. If you missed Off the Script on Friday, a really great episode, man. I'm really happy with the way it came out. I'm loving the sound of everything. I got my new setup here. Hopefully you guys do as well. Go and check that out. Link will be down in the description. If you guys missed that, I would greatly appreciate you guys go over there and leave a thumbs up. Thank you all so very much for that. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. And if you guys want to support the podcast on Patreon, you guys can certainly do that. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Shout out to all my patrons. You guys got a nice little shout out down below in the comments. I'm going to list you all for the month of January down below in the comments pinned at the very top. And the podcast today is brought to you by my good friends over at Tavour, man. You guys know the deal, Tavour. Tavour is craft beer delivered. It is 100% independent. 7,000 beers tasted. Over 6 100 different breweries are featured on Tavour, man. And if you guys sign up, all you have to do is sign up. The link is down in the description below. You'll see it at the very top. You guys sign up and you use our code SCRIPT at checkout. You guys are going to get $10 off a purchase of $25 or more. That is an absolute fantastic deal. So if you guys want to download the app, it's absolutely free. You have the world of craft beer in the palm of your hands, man. If you love craft beer, this is for you. If you guys want to switch it up and maybe learn a little bit more about what's out there, Tavour is for you. And if you guys use that code SCRIPT at checkout, you will save $10 off a purchase of $25 or more, and they ship right to your front door, man. That is Tavour, and I want to thank them for sponsoring the podcast here for episode 308 of Off the Script. You know who I miss, man? I miss Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott was one of the more talented females in all of the WWE, especially coming out of Monday Night Raw. I'm not sure if you guys remember her. She was on Monday Night Raw 52 weeks out of the year in 2018 before she got injured. In the same match, rinse and repeat every single week with Sasha Banks, Bayley, and a rotation of irrelevant women on Monday night. Natalya, Carmella, Ember Moon. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. None of those matches meant anything. The Riott Squad was put together because WWE had absolutely no vision for any of those women. All three of them had no direction. WWE, you could say the same thing about Sasha and Bayley. They had no direction, and they were afraid to push any of those women on Monday night. No diversity, no direction. It was just an awful time to watch Raw in 2018. And then people wondered why Sasha Banks left the company following WrestleMania last year. I mean, that's a pretty solid reason to walk away. When you get 52 weeks of the same creative with no change in sight at all, no desire to make these women better and put on better TV, she walked away. That would make anybody unhappy. And I detail that in my Sasha Banks is right to quit WWE because of the way that they were treating her and the creative that she was given. But Ruby Riott, we're not talking about Sasha Banks. Ruby Riott is an outlaw. She's a rebel. She doesn't look like anybody else in the WWE, meaning she's not blonde. She's not big-breasted. She doesn't got a big ass. She's not blonde. Did I mention that she's not blonde? She's got tattoos all over the place. She's the female version of Aleister Black. She's not the cat's meow to WWE management. Some of you might think she's attractive, but she doesn't catch the eye of anybody in WWE management. So, more than likely, she will not be pushed the way you and I think she should be pushed. Same thing goes for Ember Moon and everybody that looks like those females. It's not going to happen. But I honestly do think that her presence is missed. Her in-ring style is missed. That talent is missed. And I do think whatever brand she does land on, which right now I have no idea what brand she's even affiliated with. I don't even think it matters. But when she does come back, whatever brand she does land on is going to be, it's going to be a shot of momentum for whatever brand she ends up on, whether it's Raw or SmackDown. Now, someone like Nia Jax, who's also injured, if she comes back, it's the opposite of what Ruby Riott would do for a division. You see, Ruby Riott comes back and she instantly adds better quality to the division, just based on who she is and how she works in the ring. Nia Jax comes back, forget about it. Forget about it. That means the division and whatever show she's on automatically gets worse. There's a big difference with Ruby Riott and Nia Jax, so I don't want Nia Jax to come back at all. She should stay wherever she is and be a total diva. She doesn't need to be in the WWE. She's worthless. But what is not worthless is this news report. PW Insider's reporting on Tuesday that Ruby Riott was spotted that morning at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. It was revealed last May that Ruby Riott underwent successful surgery for a bilateral injury to her right shoulder. At the time, it was noted that the WWE star would undergo the same surgery for her left shoulder down the line, which turned out to be done in August. The second surgery was also a success. Riott was last seen in action back at the May 17th live event in Cardiff, Wales, as part of a fatal four-way match that also included Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans, and Tamina Snuka, another one who could stay very, 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 very far away. Now, the belief is that she won't be back in action until later this year. She was likely at the Performance Center in order to have WWE doctors monitor her progress towards being cleared to return to the ring. So that's pretty much it. I can't wait till she comes back. I don't know why I'm saying that, because the women's division right now is in complete shambles, and I don't think that WWE is really going to push Ruby Riott upon return. So we'll see what happens. I do think, though, that she is incredibly talented. She's got a great look, and whatever brand she does end up on should be the lucky recipient of a top-tier female, and hopefully she gets the push that she deserves. That's all I can honestly say. I don't really have faith in WWE pushing any of our favorites because, again, I don't know if you've noticed, she's not blonde. That's the end goal here. If you're blonde, then you'll get a push. That's the way it operates in WWE. According to Dave Meltzer, Ruby Riott may be on her way to returning to the WWE, but Matt Hardy is more than likely on his way out of the WWE. Matt Hardy's name is in the news more than he's been in the ring, all in 2019. And Dave Meltzer has reported as of this weekend that Matt Hardy is leaving the WWE in March. All we need is a confirmation with him walking out the door and heading to Jacksonville. Looks very much like we've seen the last of Matt Hardy in a WWE ring, and now we are all just simply counting down the days till his contract is expired, which is reportedly sometime in March, I heard, or the last that I read, it was March 1st, 2020. Now, writing in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer noted, and I quote, Matt Hardy is expected to leave the WWE in March. He produced new broken videos and offered an idea for a Free the Delete series to lead to his return with his old character. Obviously, WWE didn't want any part of this, and he's doing his own thing and going into business for himself. But they were not interested, says Dave Meltzer. Hardy is the leading speculated name for the leader of the Dark Order stable in AEW, and they just started teasing a leader called the Exalted One, and Hardy just started putting out these videos not too long ago. So it seems to be lining up that Matt Hardy could indeed be the name that the Dark Order are answering to. He is the Exalted One. There are many names being thrown around as far as who the Exalted One is. Matt Hardy is one of them. Hangman Page was another, but I don't see him to be a leader type. I don't see him to be in that role. There was rumors going around that Marty Scurll could be the Exalted One, but I don't think that Marty fits that role, honestly. I don't think he would be right for that role at all. I don't think that Marty is going to come on in and be the leader of a stable like that. If anything, he'll be the leader of his own stable, similar to Villain Enterprises in Ring of Honor. And there is a rumor going around this weekend that Ring of Honor is offering Marty Scurll a WWE main roster-like contract. Financials not included, obviously, but you can surmise and just kind of guess the number figure for that. It could be upwards towards $1 million a year. Obviously, he would get added perks. And I read as of this morning that the contract is for 40 dates only. It's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive for Marty Scurll. Now, I don't know where his heart is. I don't know if he wants to do this for money he could make. I don't know if he's going to be making a WWE-like contract in AEW, but I honestly know that in this day and age, a lot of guys are going wherever they can for the money. And that's the one thing that AEW did change. They changed the pay scale. They made it a little bit more of a viable option to not go to WWE and they could go to Ring of Honor, because if you're a free agent and WWE's looking at you, then that's automatically going to bump up. If someone like Ring of Honor is interested in a top-tier guy like Marty Scurll, that's automatically going to mean that Ring of Honor is going to have to compete, and they're going to bump up that price tag because they don't want to lose somebody like that. They lose somebody like that, forget about it. They're already in the fucking dumps. They lose someone like Marty Scurll, forget about it. Who the fuck is going to watch Ring of Honor? Who is watching Ring of Honor? Nobody. It's a dead fucking promotion. I don't like to say that, but it's the truth. Now, AEW, if he goes to AEW, I don't know if AEW is going to match Ring of Honor's contract, but I wish a little bit more that these guys in the industry now, don't make it all about the money. I wish that they would put a little bit more of a value on happiness. What is Marty Scurll going to do in Ring of Honor? Seriously. He could win the World Championship, but what does winning the Ring of Honor World Championship mean in the grand scheme of things? Yeah, you'll be making money, but who the fuck is going to give a shit about you in Ring of Honor? What type of waves are Ring of Honor making? I mean, this is the same company that has all these internal fucking office problems. Who's cheating on who? Sexual harassment here and there. I mean, they can't even fucking get a medical staff in the building to care for their wrestlers in case something happens. This is the type of place that is offering Marty Scurll this type of money and contract. Why would he want to go back there? I don't get it. And I wish a lot more of the performers in the industry would put a bigger price tag on happiness. Seriously, where would he be happy? He's going to make his money. AEW's not touring. They're there, once a week. And who's to say Marty Scurll is going to be there every single week? So the schedule for AEW, if Marty Scurll goes to, I don't even know why we're talking about Marty Scurll here when I'm talking about Matt Hardy. We'll get to that, but I'm trying to make a point. I don't even know the point I'm trying to make anymore. But, it would be similar if he goes to AEW. Seriously. Marty Scurll, I don't think he's going to be the exalted one, but I do think he's going to end up in AEW. And if he doesn't, he's foolish. He's foolish. Because everything that he knows, everybody he knows is there. Fuck the loyalty. Ring of Honor is not loyal to any of those guys over there on that roster. And with all the problems and with where they sit right now in the pecking order, you got to take your own career into thought here. What is going to be better for you career-wise? Yeah, you're going to make the money, but where the fuck are you going to be career-wise? I would like to be moving on up the ladder in the industry. I want to be talked about in the industry and then make my money. I don't want to make my money and then be fucking with one of the lower-tiered promotions in the United States that nobody's talking about. I don't want that. But Matt Hardy, I do see him being the exalted one. I could see it. And a guy like that, with the following that he has and with how over that gimmick was, if that type of gimmick and that type of vibe and that type of comedy, and it's not intentional, it's not comedy for the sake of making people laugh. He's just entertaining that it's, it comes off as, you laugh at him and it's funny. It's you get his happiness. You're laughing because you're happy with him. And the gimmick is just great. It works. Everything works when he's in that gimmick and in that universe. I could see that just being a complete, 180 away from where we see the Dark Order now. If that's on TV, I think a lot more people are going to watch AEW because they're going to be interested to see what Matt Hardy does with the broken gimmick. And I know he knows the Bucks, and they're going to give him a creative outlet and some creative freedom to do what he wants to do because that's a guy that they trust, and they seen it get over big time with nobody holding him back. And then you look at what happened in the WWE, and he tried to do it, and it died because they tried to take control over it and make it their own, and it's not the same. You stifled the guy's creativity. Matt Hardy, I hope he leaves the WWE and goes to AEW because that's where he belongs. He's not going to Ring of Honor. I don't think going to Ring of Honor is going to do anything for Matt Hardy. I don't see Matt Hardy going to Japan. He's not that type of guy to work that type of style at the age he is at right now. He wants to make a big splash. Again, he has the opportunity to do that. He has the capability to do that. He wants to give the last remaining years of his wrestling career to us, to entertain, to be creative, to be happy. I think AEW is the right place for him. Now, Jeff's contract is frozen, but he has also expressed zero interest in leaving when Matt Hardy leaves. Now, everybody assumes that Matt Hardy is leaving. I hope that's the case. You never know with these fucking people, because like I mentioned on yesterday's show, WWE moved Matt Hardy to SmackDown quietly. Meanwhile, we just seen him on Monday Night Raw compete in a gauntlet match with Ricochet and lose to Ricochet in what I thought was a decent showing for both guys. And I wouldn't mind seeing that again. But they moved him over to SmackDown because that's where Jeff is. And they feel like if they move Matt Hardy to SmackDown, that they're doing Matt Hardy a favor. Oh, look, Jeff is over here. We'll get the Hardy Boys back because Jeff is on his way back. There's your creative direction. You wanted us to use you, there you go. But Matt wants to be used because he's Matt Hardy. Matt doesn't want to be used to simply be paired with Jeff and then go nowhere in a dead tag team division. It doesn't work out. It's just desperate on WWE's end. Jeff expressed zero interest in leaving with Matt. Jeff, if he is even interested in leaving, and he's given no indication of that, he couldn't do so for at least another year plus. So if Matt leaves and Jeff is still in the WWE, Jeff's going to do his thing. They're going to book him accordingly. And then when his contract's up, he might end up going where Matt is, and we might get the Hardys in AEW. And that would be great. But Matt Hardy is on his way out of the WWE. I hope so. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And I'd like to see the broken gimmick come back full-fledged and him being given that creative outlet to do so. Speaking of contracts, this is not really news, but I want to make sure you guys are fully aware of what's going on. Becky Lynch and Asuka. I'm interested in this feud. And it's one of the better things on Monday Night Raw storyline-wise. But a lot of people are wondering what's going on with the way the storyline is being developed and built. Becky Lynch says that she's a free agent, and the only way she'll sign a contract is if she gets the match with Asuka at the Royal Rumble. Becky Lynch already signed the 5-year deal. They're just bringing this contract, quote-unquote, situation into the storyline to make it a little bit more real and a little bit more personal. The Wrestling Observer newsletter is reporting that it is believed that Lynch actually signed a new deal last year. It's not the only place I've heard it from. I've heard it from other sources that Becky Lynch signed a new deal. The contract she signed in 2019 obviously was very lucrative because they didn't want to lose Becky Lynch, and with the run that she was on, she needed to be paid accordingly. Dave Meltzer says, and I quote, Lynch said her contract was coming up but wanted her match with Asuka before she could even look at a new deal. Lynch said she could go ahead and sign one of the biggest contracts in WWE history, but she can't forget about Asuka beating her at the Royal Rumble last year. That part, I believe, is a work since Lynch signed a $1 million per year new deal last year, and pretty much all the new deals that WWE are giving out are 5-year deals. So WWE signed Becky Lynch. They were not going to let her be a free agent just for any reason, let alone the sake of this storyline. But Becky Lynch is not leaving WWE. And if you guys heard that and you're wondering, is Becky Lynch really a free agent? Does she really have ongoing talks with WWE as far as a contract? Are they really making this thing into a real-life issue here with Asuka? She's already signed. They're just doing this to amp up the realism or the realistic aspect of the storyline to make it a little bit more personal. That's all they're doing, and I like it. It's working, and I'm very interested to see what they do for an encore at the Royal Rumble come January 26th, I believe is the Rumble. Whatever day it is, that last weekend of the year, I'm looking forward to Lynch and Asuka. I think it's going to be awesome. 2 huge main roster names, possibly headed to NXT. And there's only reason why this could be because WWE is losing again to AEW in the ratings. So they need that boost to get them back to beating AEW on Wednesday nights. Finn Balor showed up in NXT in October 2019 when he appeared for the brand, and it looks like he had permanently moved back there from SmackDown and Monday Night Raw. The main roster, if you want to call that the main roster. Wednesday is the main roster. NXT is the main roster. Get used to it. Now, other names such as Tyler Breeze, Killian Dane, Fandango have also made the move to Wednesday nights. Obviously, these guys had no creative direction on Raw, so instead of just keeping them around and have them sit around and not use them and then give them the opportunity to go elsewhere and bring their talents to another promotion, WWE figured that they would move them down to NXT and give them some work, which was the right move. Dane has looked better, and Tyler Breeze, Fandango, Breezango has looked good. Now, Fandango's hurt, but hopefully he comes back sooner rather than later. I enjoy their act. But due to Balor's status as a former WWE Universal Champion and NXT Champion, his move was far more significant. Now, Vince fucked him up. The main roster fucked him up, and they knew it. Triple H knew it. Like, how do you take this guy from NXT and fuck him up that badly? So everything was kind of working in Finn Balor's favor. They didn't want him to be unhappy. Balor is a Florida native. He lives in Orlando. He just got engaged. His wife lives in Orlando. You know, he's still making the same amount of money he was making on the main roster to work a lighter schedule in NXT. It all works out for Finn, and he gets better creative. They're bringing his character back to life. They're resurrecting Balor that was dead on the main roster. We might not be getting the Demon, but we're getting a tougher, rougher, and just no bullshit Finn Balor. And that's exactly what we needed to see. On Monday Night Raw and SmackDown on Fox, Finn Balor was nothing more than a smiling underwear model. That's all they did. They didn't use him correctly. He didn't have any balls. It was the same formulaic shit every single time. He had no bass to his voice. He had no desire to be there. No direction. Now he's on NXT, and they moved him for his own good, number one. And the other, probably more important reason that they moved him was because with Balor being moved, a lot of the fan base, or a lot of Finn is a popular guy from what I surmise, right? So Finn is a popular guy. They wanted to take a guy like that who could realistically be the face of a brand and move him to NXT because of the Wednesday Night Wars. That is a big deal. They moved him to counter AEW. And now they're thinking about doing it again with two other superstars. So with Balor moving to NXT, this quickly led to the rumor mill churning that other main roster stars, had they asked to move to NXT, they would be given their choice to move to NXT. But there's been very little talk of anything about this until now. Now, Sportskeeda, again, take these guys with a grain of salt. I don't know their reputation. They could be full of shit, but it's in the news, and I could honestly, and the only reason why I'm reporting this is because I can honestly see it happen. I really could. Sportskeeda is reporting that there is an internal list of stars who Vince and Triple H see as potentially moving to NXT. First and foremost, to boost ratings, AEW effect. Simple. If you don't think so, you're a cretin. But also to make said wrestler happy. Again, a part of the AEW effect because they don't want anybody leaving. But what does that say about WWE main roster creative? That they are incapable of keeping people happy. What a shame. Imagine, the biggest wrestling company in the world can't keep pro wrestlers happy. Oh, they're being paid. You're throwing fucking vaults of money at them. But they're still unhappy. Creative. You could take all the money in the world. It might be the best decision that you ever made. First, right? It might be at first the best decision you ever made, but when you look back at it and time goes by 6 months, a year, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you get to a point where you are bored. Like, all right, I'm making this money, but Jesus Christ, I want to fucking make an impact somewhere. Do something with me. Write for me. Use me. And they just are incapable of doing that. You could watch the main roster shows to figure that out. Open your eyes. Look at Raw and look at SmackDown. The writing fucking sucks. I don't know who is happy with what's going on TV. But Sportskeeda is reporting that there's an internal list. Who's on the list? Kevin Owens and Asuka. Kevin Owens and Asuka are on the list. Now, Owens was on WWE's The Bump on YouTube, their little talk show that they got on the YouTube channel with Kayla Braxton, and he was very keen on a chance to win back the NXT championship and even said he would happily move to NXT if given the opportunity. Now, he's obviously in a major storyline with Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe, so I don't see this happening imminently, but after this is over, where does he go? Honestly, he should be the face of Raw. Honestly, he should be the face of Raw. After the way they used him back after SummerSlam on SmackDown, he should have been the face of that show. Then they kept him off TV for about a month while Shane McMahon reigned his fucking reign of terror on SmackDown. Then they had that ladder match. Shane McMahon went goodbye, and they did nothing with Kevin Owens. In fact, they moved him to Monday Night Raw. They didn't do anything immediately with Kevin Owens on Monday Night Raw, but as Rollins was more and more shitting the bed on Monday nights, and obviously not becoming the face of the show, in comes Kevin Owens, and Rollins turned heel. So now, Kevin Owens, realistically, with Joe, you could go either one. Either one of them could be the face. They now have Kevin Owens to a point, not so much, but to a point where they could make him the top babyface on Raw. I don't think they'll do it. Now, Raw cannot afford to lose anybody because that roster right now, you lose a guy like that, a top babyface like that, it's going to hurt. That show is 3 hours. Kevin Owens needs to be on Raw. He might not want to be there, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to be there. I don't think anybody wants to be there, just like we don't want to watch. But moving him from Raw to NXT, what good is that going to do? What good is that going to do? If you move Kevin Owens to NXT, you're going to need to replace him on Monday Night Raw. Like I said, this roster cannot afford to lose any talent at all. They're not lighting the world on fire in any which way on Monday night, and you cannot take someone like Kevin Owens and take him off the brand without replacing him. Now, what does that mean? Does Keith Lee get a promotion? Does Matt Riddle get a promotion? Paul Heyman's over there. I'm sure he loves both Keith Lee and Matt Riddle, probably Matt Riddle more so, just because of who he is and what his background is, and the allure of a Matt Riddle-Brock Lesnar match with them being on the same brand, I'm sure has it's one of those things that brings a sparkle to Paul Heyman's eye. Just like me. Because I think Matt Riddle should honestly win the Royal Rumble, no matter what I talked about with John Cena on Friday's show. Matt Riddle is still my guy, who I think should win the Royal Rumble. But I don't think that's going to happen. Asuka, you're going to move Asuka away from the Raw Women's Division. A women's division right now that is only Becky and Charlotte. You want to do that? What about the Tag Team Championships? If you move Asuka, you got to move Kairi Sane. You're going to let poor little Kairi Sane stay on the main roster. What are you going to do with her? You're going to bring her back to her babyface pirate gimmick? Obviously, they come as a package deal. The Kabuki Warriors. You move one, you got to move the other. So what does that mean? Do you move Asuka down to NXT and maybe replace her with Shayna Baszler being called up? But why wouldn't you want Asuka and Shayna Baszler on the same Monday Night Raw roster? I mean, that's ludicrous to not want that. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. I feel like these people don't know what the fuck they're doing or what they want. You got to replace these two. The women's division is an absolute fucking shambles. It is a complete dumpster fire on Monday night. You want to take away Asuka from the women's division? You got to replace her. You want to take Kevin Owens away from Monday Night Raw, which, again, I don't see right now happening, but you got to replace him. And you got to tell me how you're doing it via a trade, something. You worked out something with William Regal. You can't just move people for the sake of moving people in this day and age where everybody's going to fucking complain about it, so you might as well save yourself the headache. You got the draft. These brands are separate. You can't be moving people just for the sake of moving people. There's got to be a reason why you're moving them. So two main roster guys, or two main roster names, one male, one female, in Owens and Asuka could be moving back down to NXT. I mean, it's an interesting option. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley, Asuka versus Toni Storm, Asuka versus Candice LeRae, Asuka versus Bianca Belair. I mean, I could go on and on over here. Kevin Owens, I mean, it's easy to fit him into NXT. He could feud with Adam Cole. I mean, the story is right there. He can feud with Johnny Gargano. He can feud with Pete Dunne. Anybody. He can feud with Matt Riddle. He can feud with Keith Lee. I mean, I could come up with fucking a list of matches off the top of my head right here in 5 seconds that would be great for Kevin Owens in NXT. Yes, it works, but it's got to make sense. And you can't take that name off Monday Night Raw without replacing him with somebody. So we'll see what happens. But clearly, it's being done to bolster the roster and give them more of a opportunity to beat AEW in the ratings. Because it looks like, if you ask Triple H, he probably doesn't even give a shit about the ratings. It's all Vince. You don't need names to go head-to-head with AEW. You just continue doing what you're doing. Give me the shows that you've been giving me. NXT has been on fire lately. And it's going to continue to be on fire going into Portland. But Vince just wants to beat AEW. You know, that's what it boils down to. And if you ask Triple H again, I don't think he gives a shit. I really don't. It's all Vince. So we'll see what happens, but this is obviously being done to counter AEW and give them a better opportunity to beat them in the ratings on Wednesday night. Quickly, Shayna Baszler being called up to the main roster is absolutely happening at the Royal Rumble. I would be shocked if she does not win the Royal Rumble, but her call-up is happening sooner rather than later. I hope to God that listen, we all know what's happening. That doesn't mean you trot her out on Monday night to do whatever with Becky Lynch. You have her show up in the Royal Rumble, and that's the first time we see her on the main roster. It's very simple. Does not need to, be all confusing, and it's not fucking rocket science here. You take Shayna. She lost to Rhea. You don't debut her on Monday Night Raw at all. You don't have her come out and announce that she's in the Royal Rumble like everybody else is fucking doing. You have her in the Royal Rumble. You hear that horse gallop in the intro of her theme music, and then you know at the Royal Rumble. It's happening sooner rather than later. This is according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer Radio. Baszler will indeed be making the move to the main roster, and this move will be happening sooner rather than later. Now, he says she is certainly capable of being the top female heel on any of WWE's 3 brands. So hopefully when she makes the move, she will be booked properly. By properly, I mean not booked like the rest of the women on the main roster since Ronda Rousey has left. So I don't really trust them to do that. And having her on the main roster with the possibility of a feud with Becky Lynch, which I do think will happen at WrestleMania, Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, or even a feud with Ronda Rousey. I have no idea what they have planned, but I don't have any faith in WWE booking Shayna Baszler. And I pray to God that Triple H is at least whispering in everybody's ear about how to book her, because he's taken the time to mold her to what she is today with all the work that went into that character and how she acts and what she does in the ring as far as in-ring psychology. Don't fuck it up, Vince. Listen, you are out of touch. Nobody gives a shit what you're thinking or what you want or what you think is a good idea. This is easy. You're taking one of the best women in the entire company that has been built up as perfectly as one could be built up, and you're taking her from one brand and putting her on the other, and literally nothing has to be changed. You let her go out there, black leather jacket at all, looking like a fucking badass. I mean, if I'm hiring bodyguards, I'm hiring Shayna Baszler. That's the type of fucking vibe she gives off. So don't fuck this up. I don't see how you could. But given the WWE's track record on the main roster, I fully expect them to. It's happening sooner rather than later. Should not happen before the Royal Rumble. That's all I have to say on that. Big E. Shifting gears here to SmackDown. New Day are tag team champions on SmackDown. Big E had the rest of the guys on the New Day podcast as of last week. And he was talking about a possible heel turn on the New Day podcast. Now, there are people who don't want the New Day to turn heel. I am in the camp of, I'd love to see a heel turn. Not by all of them, because I can't see Kofi Kingston as a heel. I just can't. I can't see Xavier Woods as a heel either. He's just not that type. But Big E, given his size and the attitude that I know he could just pull out of himself, and the way it could be portrayed on TV, I do think that Big E definitely has the biggest upside to turning heel. And there were rumors going around, for the last couple of years that, Big E's going to turn, going back to WrestleMania last year. Big E's going to turn on Kofi, and he's going to fuck him out of the WWE Championship, and it's going to be a jealousy thing, that Kofi's getting all the attention, and Big E wants the spotlight. I mean, it would have been great, but I'm glad it didn't happen, because everybody wanted that one particular moment, and it's always going to present itself again. Where you could turn Big E on the rest of the guys. But the New Day have been, I don't want to say that they're stale. The act might be stale, but their in-ring performance when they show up to work, I mean, I say it all the time. When they show up to work, it is very difficult to root against the New Day. They're just incredible workers, and I would not bat an eyelash if you told me that when the New Day is on, that they are the best tag team in the world. I would not argue with that fact at all. But I do think that over time, that they can't maintain this babyface, pancake, syrup, and fucking, gyrating in the ring. I don't think that they could keep this gimmick up for the duration until they call it quits. They just, all 3 of them signed new 5-year deals to stay with the WWE. It's 5 more years in WWE. I do think in that 5 years, one of them is turning heel. And I do think it should be Big E. Big E went on to say this. When we go through promos, sometimes we'll say some stuff that we don't intend on saying on television. I said country music sucks. This, to me, is not my character. We were laughing backstage like, he's not going to say this. We got out there and I talked about my disdain for country music. For the most part, country music is not for me, said Kofi. Big E chimed in. We did that in Nashville, the home of country music. I miss being able to open the cheeks up on a town and release my bowels. Typical New Day. In Pittsburgh, we got the terrible towels, and I rubbed it between my crotch. In Baltimore, we did something with Adam Jones, who played for the Orioles, and we were able to just go in on local sports teams and heroes. I really miss that. Kofi then said, we're over here in this wrestling world, and then you have professional athletes who have lost pretty big games, and we're openly laughing at it. So then Xavier Woods said that the New Day had 1 year heel run in 2015 to 2016, but the overwhelming crowd support forced them to turn babyface. He says, we begged to turn heel, but we were fighting to turn babyface. We didn't want it. They told us we had to do it because it was too much of a stark difference when we'd be in matches with people. And then Big E finally said in conclusion, and I quote, I guess it was good. I just didn't want to do it, but I get it. If you're a babyface and you're working with us and we're getting cheered and shaking our asses, I'd be annoyed with us too. I do think Big E is going to be the one to turn heel eventually. I do think, all three of them are great. Kofi is great. Xavier is very underrated as a single. I could definitely see him break out as a single, and I'd love to see that. I think he is very good as a single. But Big E is the typical WWE prototype of a big man who's athletic. He's not that bad in the ring whatsoever, and I do think if he pulls that inner dick out of him and that inner heel out of him, I do think it would come off very well. And I do think out of all three of them, if there's going to be one, it's going to be Big E. And I think everybody agrees with me on that as well. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know where it's going to happen. I don't know what situation it will happen in. But I do think he's going to turn eventually. And I do think when it happens, it's going to be a massive breath of fresh air. And at that point, a lot of people are going to be asking, do you replace Big E in the New Day? No, you don't. Xavier and Kofi could be the New Day on their own. Big E doesn't need a replacement in the New Day because he went heel and left the group. So we'll see what happens. I think it's worth exploring, and I do think that when it happens, because I do think it will happen, it will go over very well. Let's shift gears here, man. I really don't want to talk about this, but WrestleVotes tweeted out today. It's Friday as I'm recording this, and you guys will see this on Saturday. WrestleVotes tweeted out, and I don't know exactly what he said, but I do think it was lyrics to Edge's theme song. Let me pull them up on Twitter to see what exactly he said. But everybody's going crazy over it. He tweets out, or they tweet out, it's probably multiple people. They tweet out about 4 hours ago. The time was 10:30 in the morning. So, ... You think you know me. Obviously meaning Edge. Edge's name has been in the rumor mill for many weeks now, and everybody is getting excited because the Royal Rumble is coming up, and we all know that re-debuts and surprises are plenty in the Royal Rumble. And Edge is definitely one of those names. Now, Meltzer went on to debunk the rumor because everybody was talking about, is Edge going to win the Royal Rumble? Is he going to fight Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? Is he Brock Lesnar's opponent? Is he going to be the one to eliminate Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble? No. Edge is not winning the Royal Rumble. Edge will be. My prediction is Edge will be in the Royal Rumble because it's a perfect setting to do so. But Edge is not wrestling Brock Lesnar. That is a catastrophic mistake on so many levels. But he's not wrestling Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and he will not be winning the WWE Championship. So that's that. So who does he go up against at WrestleMania? If he's going to be in the Royal Rumble, that means he's cleared. Obviously, he's cleared. WWE will probably want him for WrestleMania. I gave you a list of opponents. One of them was John Cena. I could see it because Edge is one of John Cena's greatest rivals. I got John Cena winning the Royal Rumble and going on to win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. That's my prediction. Also with John Cena, I said a match with Bray Wyatt to play off their WrestleMania 30 match would be fantastic as well. Either one of those work. But if he's fighting Lesnar, he wins. If he's fighting Wyatt, he loses. Anybody that fights Wyatt at Mania should lose. That's just my prediction. But with Edge, Cena was one, Rollins was another. it's very unlikely. I mean, I give it a fucking breadcrumb of a chance of happening, and I don't think it's happening at all. You know, you could do Edge and CM Punk. That's another match that I'd love to see. Two legends going at it at WrestleMania. I mean, the setting is perfect. You could do Edge and Randy Orton, Edge and Seth Rollins, Edge and AJ Styles. I mean, the list goes on and on. Edge and Aleister Black. The list goes on and on. You could put him in there with anybody. I don't give a fuck. As long as I'm hearing Alter Bridge on the PA system, man, I'm happy and good to go. But the other option is I team him with Randy Orton and bring back Rated RKO. That could be great. I really do think that could be awesome. And if Randy Orton is still feuding with the OC and feuding with AJ Styles, I mean, they could do Randy Orton and Edge versus the OC. They could do Gallows and Anderson, meaning the OC. They could do a six-man tag at WrestleMania. They could do Edge, Orton, and then a mystery partner, whoever that might be. It could be, I don't know. You know, I'm hearing rumors of a Hulk Hogan return at WrestleMania. God forbid. It's like fucking part-time season, every WrestleMania season. I'm hearing Hulk Hogan wants a WrestleMania match. I'm hearing WWE is entertaining the thought of having him cleared for a WrestleMania match, which I think is just absolutely ridiculous. Do a six-man tag with whoever, Orton, Edge, against the OC at WrestleMania. I do think that's probably the one I want to see most. Rated RKO was awesome. So everybody's talking about Edge returning. Now, Edge tried to put out these rumors suggesting he is returning to the ring. Obviously, he's not going to say, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, "Hi guys, I'm back and I'll be in the Royal Rumble." Obviously, he's going to debunk as best he could. The way I go about it, honestly, is not even address anything and not even put out a tweet. I just ignore it. I just leave people talking. You know, I think it's better if nobody says anything about him returning, him included. I am not returning. Just leave it as it is. Don't answer anybody. Don't tweet anything. Just leave people in limbo. But he tweeted out, you know, I'm not and I'm not. I'm not returning. However, the latest news will only fuel speculation on his in-ring return. PW Insider is reporting that Edge has been seen around a number of WWE tapings as of late. As previously noted, Edge signed a new WWE contract months ago that reportedly is very lucrative. And I know for a fact that WWE is not signing Edge to a new contract, having it be lucrative for him to just sit around and do nothing. They signed him for a very specific reason. This was sometime around when he speared Elias during SummerSlam kickoff in Toronto, and it was the first thing he's done physically in WWE in many years. Although Edge has been denying being cleared or returning to the ring, his status has been a rumor backstage at WWE shows, and the word is that if he does return, then he would be back for more than one show. It would be similar to Brock Lesnar's deal where he would wrestle only a few times per year. Now, I was told from one of my guys, and I do have sources, no matter what the fucking cretins on social media say, I know people who are in the know who know people. And my guy called me yesterday, and he said Edge has been cleared now since SummerSlam. That, after reading that, correlates. Obviously, I take it to be truth. So I do think Edge is cleared in some way. Edge is cleared for in-ring action. If he wasn't, WWE would not have allowed him to go out there and do a spear, which is a wrestling bump. He would not have been cleared. So PW Insider says this, and I quote, "To be perfectly honest, I think, actually, this is Edge. I'm sorry. This is the report from PW Insider that's quoting Edge. Edge said this about how he feels, and this was in late August. And I quote, "To be perfectly honest, I think I could do a match tomorrow." Really? That's pretty bold of a statement there. I might be blown up, but I'd be okay. It's just from what I know with the WWE medical staff, they won't allow it. It is what it is right now. End quote. Edge has told people that he's gotten himself back in shape after going through a rough time when his mother passed away. His neck is said to be feeling better, and he's talked about looking into stem cell treatment. Rey Mysterio's gotten it. Kevin Nash has gotten it. And they are in much less pain because of these stem cell treatments. There was a time when WWE was very strict about wrestlers with serious neck issues not taking bumps. That has somehow changed in the last couple of years with Kurt Angle and Daniel Bryan being allowed to take bumps. Daniel Bryan is a completely different issue, but Kurt Angle, absolutely. In fact, there are spoilers that another big name could come out of retirement at the Royal Rumble. I don't know who that is, but I could assume that it's either Hulk Hogan, because that's the only other name that I heard, or it could be Sting. I do know that if Edge is cleared, then Sting more than likely will be cleared soon after. Because I know for a fact, A, he's been asking for the match with The Undertaker. B, this is part-timer retiree season. Everybody wants their big payday. They don't want to go away. And WWE is quickly running out of matches to do at these big Saudi shows. And what else are they going to do over 8 years, with the 8 years remaining on their deal with Saudi Arabia? You know, The Undertaker and Sting is absolutely, I'd bet the fucking house, the kids, the wife, the dog, the cat, the car on Sting and The Undertaker wrestling at a crown jewel or a super showdown, whatever they're fucking calling it, in Saudi Arabia within the next 8 years. Might happen within this year, I think. I'm not surprised if that happens. Sting, again, wants one final match with The Undertaker, but WWE will not clear him to take bumps. They will. They will definitely clear him. Edge's presence backstage at recent WWE shows certainly add fuel to these rumors about his in-ring return. And I don't think they signed him to a lucrative deal to work backstage as an agent either. He didn't quit the podcast. He didn't get in shape the way he did to just sit back in the back and sit in catering and work as a fucking agent, okay? Edge is going to be back. When? The Royal Rumble. That's my prediction. He will be at WrestleMania. They can deny it all they want. He can deny it all they want. I would have kept my mouth shut. Edge is going to come back. And after the tweet with WrestleVotes, clearly something is up. Clearly something is up. So you think you know me? Yeah, I know Edge will be back in the WWE. January and April. This is everybody's big talking point. January and April, in between. You're going to see shit happen that you normally don't see, and that is going to be a big talking point when it does happen. Now, I don't know if you are a fan of ice cream, but if you are, this could be a big talking point. I am quite the ice cream guy myself. Not so much lately because it's very fattening. You know, it's a great any night of the week treat. But if these return, I definitely will be exploring this ice cream treat. What am I talking about? JD, you're making me hungry. Yeah, I'm starving too. WWE is getting back into the ice cream business. And for fans who remember the tasty treats from when you got out of grade school and you asked your mom, "Mommy, can I have some ice cream?" And you got the fucking Good Humor truck just sitting outside of the schoolyard, right? And you go up and you look at the menu that's on the side of the truck and you look at the Choco Taco, you're looking at the Ninja Turtle Pop, you're looking at the Scooby-Doo Pop, or whatever the fuck they got over there. Then Choco Tacos are fucking good, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ever had a Choco Taco. Oh my goodness, man, they're so good. A fucking waffle base with that chocolate coating, right? And then the crunchies and the vanilla bean ice cream in the middle. Oh, so good. I still buy them now at Walmart. They still got them. I'm like, oh my goodness, Choco Tacos. Let me take a fucking box of these things. Then you see the WWE bars, man. You got your Hulk Hogan's and your Randy Savages, right? Your Bret Harts, your Shawn Michaels, or whoever else was on these fucking things. You always ask your mom, "Mom, can I have a WWE ice cream bar?" And then she yells at you, "We're going to your grandmother's house. She's got ice cream over there. Why do I gotta pay for your fucking ice cream?" I went through it. I know you guys did too. But more times than not, my mom got us some WWE ice cream bars. But Good Humor is getting back into the WWE ice cream bar business. They look to be about the same color as the original ice cream bars, and we'll just have to wait to see when they actually hit the market, but they do have them planned to come out and be reintroduced. I don't know if they're going to taste the same. I don't know if I remember what they tasted like, but I think I have a pretty good observation and taste about how they did taste back in the day. But Good Humor sent this. These following details are about the upcoming WWE ice cream bars. Good Humor's WWE Superstar Cookie Sandwich. They're not bars, they're sandwiches. I'm not a big fan of ice cream sandwiches, but they're going to be Superstar Cookie Sandwiches with a modern twist on the delicious ice cream truck flavor that fans have been craving for years. Each cookie sandwich includes a creamy vanilla base packed between 2 vanilla wafers and features one of 4 WWE superstars: John Cena, Becky Lynch, Roman Reigns, and Macho Man Randy Savage. Good Humor WWE Superstar cookie sandwiches will be available for a suggested retail price of $3 all the way up until $5.29. $3 up till $5.29 for a fucking ice cream sandwich? Man, that shit better taste gourmet if I'm paying $6 for a fucking ice cream sandwich. And these are starting in April 2020 in major retailers and ice cream trucks worldwide. We love the joy and the fandom that our tasty WWE treats have inspired over the years. Good Humor is looking forward to sharing more with fans at WrestleMania 36 in April. Man, I can't wait to eat Becky Lynch. Oh, was that inappropriate? I'm sorry, Rollins. I'm sorry, bro. Jesus Christ, it's a fucking joke. You goddamn clown. There you go, man. WWE ice cream bars are returning. Seems a little desperate there by WWE, right? Who wanted ice cream bars? Who wanted ice cream bars brought back to WWE TV all those years ago? It seems like someone's kissing some fucking ass because they want that certain individual to come back to the WWE. Is that the case? Because you could have released these any year. It's amazing to me how cretins out there don't see the picture. All of a sudden, Punk is back and WWE in some way, shape, or form on WWE backstage as a Fox employee, by the way. Gotta throw that in there. But he's talking about WWE, and clearly WWE wants CM Punk back, maybe for the Rumble, maybe for WrestleMania. But it's amazing to me how Punk finally lands back with the WWE, doing something with the WWE in 2020. And this is the same year where all of a sudden WWE ice cream bars, ice cream sandwiches are coming out, just like the old days when Punk is back in the WWE. I wonder if they have anything to do with one another. Vince? Right? You fucking demented cretin. Anyway, speaking of that certain individual, CM Punk tells The Miz, and I quote, this is a direct quote from a tweet that was obviously later deleted on social media. CM Punk says to The Miz, and I quote, "Go suck a blood money covered dick in Saudi Arabia, you fucking dork." End quote. That's something that I'd say to a social media parasite on Twitter. I love it. I love it. Now, everybody thinks that this is some type of work. This is WWE's way of getting Punk back into a storyline. He's going to be in the Royal Rumble, blah, blah, blah. I've heard people claim this week that CM Punk is going to be number 30 in the Royal Rumble. He's going to eliminate Brock Lesnar and then go on to challenge Brock Lesnar and win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, show up on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, or after the Royal Rumble, and have a confrontation with Paul Heyman and relive their rivalry. Now, I don't know who wouldn't want that. I think that sounds fucking brilliant. You want me to watch Monday Night Raw with a fucking huge smile on my face? Then there you go. There you go. That's great. And the first match that they had all those SummerSlams ago was the match of the year that year. I loved what Punk and Lesnar did at SummerSlam. But I have to tell you, man, you're really reaching with that one. You're really reaching into the fucking fantasy land on that one. I don't know what you're thinking of, but I do think that you're really just out there. You're dreaming of dragons and fucking elves and rupees, and you're thinking about fucking... Just envision Skyrim. Right? If you guys played Skyrim, just envision you living in a fucking elf village with your elf wife, and she's fucking hot as fuck. She's got big elf breasts, right? She got the big perky ears. And you go out into the fucking backyard and you're hammering steel and you're trying to make mithril to fucking go battle the dragon at the top of the fucking volcano, right? Well, what are you living in, some fucking fantasy world? That is not happening. If that happens, I'll put myself in that fucking... That village. Please. You can fucking banish me to the village and I'll fucking be off YouTube forever. Now, if it happens, then I will end up being wrong. And I've I've been wrong before, but I just don't see it happening. I really don't see that happening at all. In fact, this tweet that he said, "Go suck a blood money covered dick in Saudi Arabia, you fucking dork," I don't think is a work. I don't think it's an in for WWE to get him into a storyline. I don't know if there is any animosity between CM Punk and The Miz. I don't know why there would be. The Miz was a dick. He egged CM Punk on. "I'm not changing the culture or anything," right? "Well, excuse me, I didn't change the culture." And then obviously CM Punk with his mouth, he obviously went off on Twitter. Now, it might have been something that was just, at the moment, a reaction because he took it to heart. But I don't think it's something that he should be punished over. I don't think it's a work. I don't think it's an in. I don't think that it is CM Punk coming back to the WWE in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I do think it's the opposite. I do think that it's a stamp on him not coming back to the WWE because that's a pretty self-explanatory fuck you to not only The Miz, but to the entire company. And that's him saying whatever he feels like saying. And I don't even think as a Fox employee, it's a good look. And clearly WWE, I don't know, I have their reaction to it, but I don't think that the initial reaction to that was one of which, "Oh man, Emil, did you see CM Punk on social media? Man, I love what he said." It wasn't a reaction like that. They were like, "Whoa, what the fuck is this shit?" That's why he deleted the tweet, because it was too real. If it was a storyline, he would have kept it up. Or it would have been a little bit more less in your face than "go suck a blood money covered dick in Saudi Arabia." It would have been a little less volatile. But I do think that CM Punk, this is a stamp on him not coming back to the WWE. So The Miz was a guest on this week's WWE Backstage, and at the end of the show, the host, Christian Cage, good old Christian, joked that the show was thankfully over. To which The Miz replied, "What do you mean thankfully? I feel like this was the best WWE Backstage ever." "What do you mean in or around the best ever? Name one that was better." "Sorry, I didn't change the culture. My bad." So this was an obvious jab at CM Punk, who promised to change the culture when he made his shock debut on the show back in November. But it's fair to say that Punk was not happy with The Miz's comment. He replied on a WWE on Fox tweet, and that, he's a Fox employee. So clearly, he was either given the opportunity to really fucking go out there and speak his mind, or he just didn't give a shit. And I don't think that this would have been okay by Fox. That's why the tweet was deleted. He replied to a WWE on Fox tweet regarding The Miz's comments, "Go suck a blood money covered dick in Saudi Arabia, you fucking dork." Understandably, this tweet got quite the reaction on social media. So much that Punk seemed to realize that he maybe went a bit far and deleted the tweet soon afterwards, but the tweet and delete, it was saved and captured all over the place, so it will live on forever in social media history. Dave Meltzer discussed the tweet in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter and noted that a number of people were critical, but they have seen no signs of serious consequences. And I quote, "While people were critical, it didn't result in a reaction by Fox or WWE over the idea that someone on their show made a homophobic remark and then trying to force an apology. Really, it wasn't that big of a reaction, but there was enough of a reaction." End quote. It's possible that WWE is so keen on bringing Punk back into the ring that he basically is able to say whatever the fuck he wants. The growing rumor is that Punk will return in the Royal Rumble, and he's the second favorite to win the match, according to the betting odds. I don't think that Punk is in the Rumble. I don't think Punk is coming back to the WWE this year. I do think he'll be back in the ring eventually. I don't think this is leading to any storyline at all with The Miz or anybody. This is CM Punk being CM Punk. And I do think that this is CM Punk thinking he has the power to say willingly whatever the fuck he wants, and he went a little bit too far. And CM Punk he's like me. He's like everybody that wears their heart on their sleeve, man. And Punk, he's on the show and he takes the job seriously and he's giving his expert opinion on everything. And The Miz made a comment that kind of negated all of that. "We're not changing the culture, excuse me." Meanwhile, Punk I don't know if I would use that terminology, but he is bringing a change. He is making a difference because you don't see that type of reaction and you don't see that type of opinion on any WWE programming. So for The Miz to go out there and say, I'm not changing the culture or anything, I hate that term, but he really is, because he's not like everybody else. And he's not like everybody else, but that doesn't mean he's able to go out there and speak what he said here. CM Punk's leash is very long, but this was something that I do think that Fox, it's just tugged on a little bit. Listen, dude, you're going a little bit too far. They just kind of reel it back in a little bit. I don't think this is going to be one of those things that we're going to be talking about next week. I don't think people should take this to heart. I don't think people should assume something is going to happen over this. It was funny. I laughed at it. I got a good laugh at it, but obviously the tweet was deleted. Somebody from Fox got in Punk's ear. Maybe Punk realized that he went a little bit too far. Maybe AJ got in his ear and said, listen, what are you doing? Delete this. You're going to ruin any opportunity that you got coming up. It's just not a good look. So he did the right thing in deleting it. And I don't think this was any sort of storyline whatsoever. It was just Punk being Punk. And I'll just leave it at that. Speaking of CM Punk, there's a lot of CM Punk news here. We got Triple H in the news, saying that he would absolutely welcome CM Punk back to the WWE along with AJ Lee. Triple H took part in it. Of course he would, right? Of course he would say that, because he knows what's best for business. Triple H took part in a media conference call on Wednesday to promote NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool on Sunday. This was with Metro.uk, and he was on the call, or they were on the call with Triple H, and he was asked about the possibility of CM Punk and AJ Lee back in the WWE. This comes after Triple H's wife, Stephanie McMahon, recently commented about them making the return. This is where McMahon noted how she would love to see the married couple make a return. He says, and I quote, if it was right for them, for the company, for everyone involved, then absolutely. I don't think that's ever been a factor of somebody saying this person should be here or that person should be here. Incredible talent are always incredible talent, but there's so much more to the business than just being a talented performer. I can fantasy book and say I'd like to be young again, but that ain't happening either. In a perfect world, yeah, sure. Again, you've heard Vince echo the sentiment so many times over the years. Never say never. Now, that was what Triple H said. They always say that, never say never. Anything is possible. AJ Lee, recently stated that she is very much retired from pro wrestling, while on the flip side, Punk obviously hasn't ruled out a return and is currently working for Fox Sports on WWE Backstage as an analyst on FS1. So, of course, Triple H would say, yes, I'd love to see CM Punk back in the WWE because Triple H knows what is best for business. And Punk back on WWE TV is legitimately a mover of the needle. It's legitimately a game changer. For how long, I don't know, but it is obviously something that will generate more interest in WWE than anything that's happened in the last decade. So that's that. When he's back, everybody will know, and when he's back, everybody will be watching. Triple H knows this for a fact. Whatever hard feelings or emotional feelings, political feelings that are there, they might not like each other, but they do know Punk could make a lot of money. Punk knows he can make a lot of money with WWE, and Triple H has something that Punk has, that appeal, that mass appeal that everybody still, after 7 years of being gone, is still talking about and wanting him back in the ring. Triple H knows that. CM Punk shared a photo recently on Instagram. I got to this late. This literally came out after I recorded last week's podcast, but I found this to be an interesting enough story to keep it in the podcast this week. CM Punk shared a photo of WrestleMania 30's booking sheet. Now, I don't know why he had this. I don't know why he tweeted this out. Maybe he's just trolling. Maybe he's just being CM Punk. I don't know. CM Punk shared an interesting photo on Instagram last week, and it was an internal WWE booking sheet for WrestleMania 30. This show was held on April 6th, 2014 at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, Silverdome if you're Hulk Hogan, in New Orleans. The sheet confirmed the fact that WWE had Daniel Bryan pegged against Sheamus at WrestleMania, and Triple H versus Punk is listed on the card. This is something that Punk talked about during his famous appearance on Colt Cabana's podcast, the highest rated pro wrestling podcast that ever existed. That CM Punk episode on Colt Cabana's podcast. This match with Triple H was something that Punk at the time was not happy with. Once Punk took a hiatus and later departed from the company, after being fired, plans obviously changed, with Daniel Bryan facing Triple H that ultimately led to him winning the main event by beating then world champion Randy Orton and Batista in a triple threat match in the main event. As of January 20, 2014, this is what the card read, and I quote, Batista versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. That is awful. That is downright awful. That would have been on level with Reigns and Lesnar a couple of years ago. Awful. CM Punk versus Triple H. To be honest with you, even now when we talk about Punk returning, the one match that I do think would captivate the most interest is CM Punk versus Triple H. The history is there. They could play off all the real-life animosity, bring it to storyline. It would be great. It would be TV gold. I don't know how the match would be. I don't think anybody's really clamoring to see the match, but the promo work between these two, my goodness, man, that's fucking absolutely volcanic. I love to see that. I'd love to see CM Punk back in the ring against a couple of guys. I don't think they're, groundbreaking matches, but the first match that I would book is Punk versus Bryan, to be honest with you. That's the first thing that I would want to see. Now, it's not going to be as important as how I would have booked it at WrestleMania 30. That should have been the main event of WrestleMania 30, but I'd still like to see it. Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar was still there. John Cena versus Bray Wyatt was still there. Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. This is an interesting match because, just by the looks of this is the internal card from January 20, 2014. So the Royal Rumble was a week after this. And their plans were Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. They had absolutely no plan to pay off Daniel Bryan. After everything that was being done, after the crowd reactions, everything. They had no direction. They had no plan to pay off Daniel Bryan and him overcoming the Authority. Because they were planning to put him against Sheamus at WrestleMania. They were still going to not listen to the audience and the fans after Daniel Bryan was getting reactions that were on level to The Rock and Steve Austin back in 2014. I still go back and watch that cage match with Bray Wyatt in Rhode Island where he's on the top of the cage and doing the yes chant. I never seen anything like that since the days of the Attitude Era. You don't even get a fucking a tenth of that reaction nowadays on Monday Night Raw. He had everybody in the palm of his hand. Absolutely one of the greatest moments in Monday Night Raw history is that moment. That steel cage match, the ending of it. Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus just, it goes to show you that WWE was never going to give the fans what they want. And it's funny how 6 years following this, they're still the same. The mentality is still the same. Fuck the fans. Fuck the fans. It's amazing, man. Big Show versus Kane, please. I hope that came with a noose. Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose for the WWE United States Championship. So that is a very interesting match, to say the least, for the United States Championship. Now, the way WrestleMania ended up, this was the actual card. 8 matches in total. Daniel Bryan obviously defeated Batista and Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. They had to do something with Punk leaving. Triple H needed an opponent, so at that point, Punk leaving opened up Triple H and Daniel Bryan. They opened the show. Fantastic fucking match. So it was Bryan versus Triple H. That got Bryan in the main event with Batista and Randy Orton. He beat them and won the championship. AJ Lee defeated Oksana. I remember her, but I would rather not. Alicia Fox, Brie Bella, Cameron, another one I'd rather not. Oh my God, this match is giving me fucking eye cancer just looking at it. Are you fucking serious? Can you imagine this? Holy shit. I pulled up Wikipedia, and now I don't want to pull up Wikipedia. AJ Lee defeated Oksana, Alicia Fox, Brie Bella, Cameron, Emma. Oh, I love Emma. Eva Marie, Layla, Naomi, Natalia, Nikki Bella, Rosa Mendez, Summer Rae, and Tamina Snuka. I got cold chills just reading that. Holy shit, man. I got legitimate goosebumps, and not in a good way, man. That is fucking frightening. That is absolutely fucking frightening. Brock Lesnar defeated The Undertaker. John Cena defeated Bray Wyatt. Cesaro, great moments. Don't know how the fuck they didn't do anything with him after that, man. All I envisioned, just thinking back, is just everybody standing on their feet when he eliminated the Giant in that Battle Royal, man. What a fucking moment. How you fuck that up? I don't understand it. He won by eliminating the Big Show. The Shield, instead of getting Ambrose and Reigns for the United States title, we got Ambrose, Reigns, and Rollins against Kane and the New Age Outlaws. Daniel Bryan, Triple H, and the Usos. Jimmy and Jay defeated Los Matadores, Diego and Fernando. This was before their timeshare days. Jesus Christ, with El Torito. Remember him? I wish I don't remember him. The Real Americans, Cesaro and Jack Swagger with Zeb Coulter, and Rybaxel. Curtis Axel and Ryback. That was a fatal four-way for the Tag Team Championship. That was actually on the pre-show. The match was on the pre-show. WrestleMania 30, it was not that bad of a show. And Daniel Bryan made that whole show, obviously. The bookend, right? The beginning and then the end of that show were fantastic. Everything in the middle of it was like, whatever. Lesnar and The Undertaker, I still think back. I don't think the streak should have ended. I've never seen a crowd just absolutely frozen with emotion after that. I remember watching that, and I'm like, I was just like fucking ghostly white after. I'm like, what the fuck what just happened? I still to this day don't think the streak should have ever been broken, honestly. I would still have The Undertaker defeat at WrestleMania, but that's neither here or there. But WrestleMania, clearly with the way WWE had listed things out, Bryan was never going to get his payoff. If Punk was still with the company, he would have never gotten his payoff. Does Daniel Bryan owe some level of respect for CM Punk? Another reason why I'd love to see this match. I mean, the story is there. That's easy. It writes itself. If Bryan and Punk are to do battle, if Bryan wants to, Bryan's already said he wanted Punk. If Punk comes back and one of his matches is with Bryan, man, the story there, they could play off that. I love that. I absolutely love that. But it's amazing looking at Punk's line sheet for Mania, how Bryan was never going to be paid off. Unbelievable. Punk seemingly owes, or Bryan, I should say, seemingly owes Punk a fucking thank you or a handshake. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Speaking of WrestleMania, there is a WrestleMania card floating around, and some of you guys sent it to me on social media. Some of you leaked into my DMs on Instagram to send me this. I looked at this and I'm like, holy shit. This, A, is not real. And if it is, I mean, WWE, please, put down the pen, put Vince McMahon in a fucking insane asylum and just get him away from the product as far as humanly possible. And if you are a social media troglodyte out there, you degenerates out there, fantasy booking, if this is your idea of a WrestleMania card, I mean, just quit. Stop watching the product and stop trying to make a name for yourself. You're not funny. Your creative ideas are fucking terrible. My WrestleMania card was grade A on last week's show. This WrestleMania card going around on social media, and I will read the matches as it follows. Brock Lesnar versus Tyson Fury. I'll take 3 shots of bleach. Thank you. On the rocks with a squeeze of lemon. Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. I could actually see that happening, but I would rather not see Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt in any way, shape, or form. Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's Championship. That is absolutely happening in my eyes. Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, and The Big Show versus Seth Rollins and AOP in a hardcore tag team match. Why are we getting it at WrestleMania when undoubtedly we're getting it for the next 16 weeks leading up to WrestleMania? Give me a break. Bobby Lashley and Lana versus Rusev and Liv Morgan in a mixed tag team match. Make that triple shot a quadruple shot. This is the leaked card. Clearly, it's not real. In fact, Tyson Fury has said he's open to wrestling a match at WrestleMania. We talked about this on Friday's show, that Vince wants Tyson Fury at WrestleMania if only he beats Deontay Wilder on February 22nd. So I'm rooting for Deontay Wilder, no question. But there have been no discussions about him being part of the show. And clearly, being that the match is happening on February 22nd, that rules out him being in the Royal Rumble, too, which is a fucking blessing. You guys don't know how much of a blessing that is, man. Now, there is still time, obviously, for WWE. There's plenty of time. The matches, or at least a concept of WrestleMania, should have been in the fucking, in the boardrooms already, written in fucking erasable marker. Something should be already laid out. I don't think anything's laid out. But obviously, WWE will find Brock Lesnar's opponent at the Royal Rumble. Wyatt and Reigns more than likely is going to happen. Bryan, I don't know what he does at WrestleMania. It might end up being a triple threat match. I have no idea. Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler I do see happening. Everything else I don't really have an idea of. I could make logical guesses. I could fantasy book myself. But I could definitely fantasy book better than this shit. This is a leaked card and it's not real. So don't worry about it. If you've seen it, if you know what I'm talking about, it's not real. Finally, just to give you guys a glimpse into WWE's creative process, which is by far the worst it's ever been, going on into 2018, 2019, and I'm sure into 2020, it's going to be the worst it's ever been. Seems like they're on record for breaking how worse they could be in the previous year. But this was back when Rhyno was in WWE, in the ECW years, when he just came over from ECW into the WWE. Now, if you thought WWE creative was bad, this is, and might very well be, the cherry on top of the fucking diarrhea sundae that is WWE creative and their ideas. Rhyno went on Chris Jericho's podcast, Talk is Jericho, and he talked about his time in WWE the early days. WWE's creative teams have been hit or miss, mostly miss, but back when Rhyno was there, they wanted to repackage Rhyno and call him Mary. Yes, Mary, like the Virgin Mary. Mary, M-A-R-Y, Mary, Maria. Mary. Now, fans of ECW, I remember back in the day when I was sitting in the fucking quadrangle in high school. We were all waiting for the bell to ring for homeroom. We were all talking about wrestling and what we've seen on Monday nights, Nitro, Raw, sports. We were talking about baseball, the Yankees, the Braves, the Mets, whatever. We were doing fake wrestling moves in the fucking parking lot, too, before the bell rang. But I remember one kid, his name was Joe Aceto. And I remember Joe used to sell ECW VHS tapes. He used to tape the shows, and we used to buy them because I didn't get the channel ECW was on. He was buying tapes, and he was selling them for cheap to everybody that wanted an alternative to WWE and WCW. Obviously, I caught on. I collected a lot of ECW tapes. I was a huge fan of ECW back in the day. I loved it. Who didn't? Right? It was truly an alternative. I remember Rhyno tearing it up in ECW. I remember Rhyno just being a fucking stocky motherfucker. You don't want to fuck with him. He's one of those guys where you just look at him and you know he's just going to fucking spear you in two. And WWE wanted to erase all of that fear and all of that mentality that you once looked at when you seen Rhyno. And they wanted to change his name to Mary, and they wanted to dye his hair blonde. Now, he's in Impact. He is still named Rhyno, but with an I, not a Y. And he sat down with Chris Jericho to discuss his career. Now, clearly, Jericho had him on because he's going to be at Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill in a one-on-one match with Moose. Probably a way to promote the pay-per-view. He says, and I quote, "They wanted to change my name to Mary. This was after ECW. They were like, we got to change your name. And I go, why? They go, we can't patent it." And Joe Legend apparently said, "Why don't you just change the I to a Y? I think they just wanted to create their own character for me." So Edge, Adam Copeland, goes, "You guys are going to drop the ball. Bring him in as our friend and a heater. They wanted to dye my hair blonde and make me their little brother. Can you imagine having to dye your hair blonde all the time?" They were kicking around different ideas. Juggernaut was another one. The worst one was Mary. I don't know where it came from. He goes on to say in conclusion, fortunately for all of this, he mentioned Edge stopped all of it and became the voice of reason. He says about Edge becoming the voice of reason, and I quote, "Edge was like, You're going to insult the fans' intelligence, which they're still doing to this very day, to this very hour, to this very minute, to this very second. They've seen him for the past few years tearing people up in a different promotion. They go, you're starting tonight. Did they figure out a name? Rhyno with a Y. Okay. So, there you go. A glimpse into WWE's creative plans. They wanted to call Rhyno Mary. I don't know. Maybe everybody on the fucking creative team is like Mary. Virgins. Virgins. Because there's no fucking way these people have any type of knowledge in the wrestling business or anything in life, period. They don't know their head from their ass. Mary. You fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ. All they're worried about is looking at Alexa Bliss's tight ass walking down the fucking hallway. That's all they give a shit about. Mary. Unreal, man. Just a glimpse into WWE's creative process. It's fucking just as bad as it was then. Then, now, and forever. WWE creative being a complete dumpster fire. Then, now, and forever, man. It goes perfectly. It goes perfectly. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much for all your support. If you enjoyed the podcast, let me know what you think down below. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button as well. Turn on the bell for all notifications. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of all the top stories. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Shout out to all my newest patrons for the month of January. You guys will be linked down below or listed down below in the comment section pinned at the very top. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys missed any of my videos this week, including Raw, Off the Script Elite on Tuesday, AEW Dynamite, NXT, SmackDown, and Off the Script, episode 308, part number 1. Everything you guys need is linked down below in the description. Easy access for you. And check out my sponsor for today's video, man, Tavour Craft Beer Delivered. Download the app, choose your own box or anything really. Spend $25 or more and get $10 off your initial purchase. Guys, I'm getting out of here. I will see you all right back here on Monday. I will not be reviewing the NXT TakeOver UK Blackpool show. It's not worth it to me. The views are just not there. There's no interest, so I'm not wasting my time. Though I will be watching, I will be live tweeting, and I will be interacting with you guys on social media. That is the extent of that. But other than that, I'll see you right back here on Monday for more content on the channel as we begin a new week heading towards the Royal Rumble. Till then, guys, thumbs up, and I'll see you guys on Monday for Raw.